We have Tennessee Congressman Steve Cohen joining us now. Thanks for being with us to discuss this today, sir.
You're welcome.
You're a Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee. David Giovannis has deep ties, as you just heard Nina explaining, to Oleg Deripaska, who is a Russian oligarch and a close Putin associate. Is Giovannis someone who's been on your radar?
Well, not until I read what the Senate Intelligence Committee had learned and their interest in seeing him. It seems that he has knowledge of what Trump has been trying to do for over 20 years in investing in Moscow. Trump has an interest in investing in Moscow like most red-blooded New Yorkers have with the history of Yankee Stadium or Madison Square Garden. Why he didn't direct his interest there rather than to Moscow is very curious, because there's a lot of danger in investing in Moscow, and at one time it wasn't a safe physically or economically to invest. But for some reason, Trump has got a fixation on Moscow, and this man seems to know about it. And he also might have some knowledge of things that occurred that might have been less than welcome to the public eye from Trump's perspective.
Well, Michael Cohen, no relation to you, Congressman, is going to testify before the House Oversight Committee next week. So when you're listening to Michael Cohen, what are you going to be listening for?
Well, I'm going to listen for obstruction of justice and abuse of process, but mostly obstruction of justice. The campaign finance laws were before Trump became president, but it's pretty clear his payoffs to Ms. McDougal and to Ms. Stormy Daniels were to violate the campaign finance laws and to hush them up to help him win the election. And I think Michael Cohen is going to testify to that. He will also let us know about the Russian investments and his interest in getting the Trump-Moscow deal and how far it went into the election. His earlier statements indicated that it went way beyond what Trump had said, and even beyond what he said in his earlier testimony to the Congress, and then it went right up to Election Day. It's such a fascination that he has with Moscow, and he continues to have, because the only leader who he is totally true to is Putin. Now, he likes other despots and authoritarians as well, but Putin seems to be his favorite. And when he's around Putin, he acts like Arthur Miller around Marilyn Monroe.
I cannot unsee that, sir. But your committee, the Judiciary Committee, wants. Do they want to hear from Cohen? You're gonna see him publicly once. Do you want to hear from him publicly or even privately?
I would like to hear Michael Cohen come before our committee, because that can tell us a lot about what Trump did even after the election, while he was president, in interest and pursuit in Moscow, and also about his some of his positions concerning Comey and other things. He confided in Michael Cohen. He was, in essence, his consigliere, and he told him things that he wouldn't have told anybody else, and Michael Cohen apparently wants to get it off his chest and come clean and want to be viewed in history as a good guy, a John Dean type who came forward. So I think it's important that the Judiciary Committee hear from him. You know, with this allegedly the Mueller investigation coming to a close, it's all very concerning to me, because there are angles that I think still exist concerning foreign banks that Mueller's team was taking to the Supreme Court to get access to records. That might have been passed off to somebody else, but that hadn't been completed. There are other people that I think are pertinent to the meeting at Trump Tower with the Russian agents that would need to be interviewed, and whether they have been privately or not is another issue. It seems like possibly Barr has put an end to the Mueller investigation, and I think Barr was sought out by Trump, probably with the Federalists, to find somebody who would do his bidding, and I'm afraid he will give us very little insight into the report, and we will have to subpoena Mueller and/or the report.
That is a big allegation. One of your Judiciary Committee colleagues shares that view with you, Sheila Jackson Lee, questioning the timing here with the Attorney General, Bill Barr, recently just coming into that position, and now the knowledge that DOJ is expecting to announce as early as next week that they've gotten the Mueller report. Do you have evidence to back that up, that Bill Barr, as you say, you believe is ending the Mueller investigation before it's fully been exhausted?
Well, there are just parts of the Mueller investigation that apparently have not been completed, And it does seem more than a coincidence as soon as he comes in that the investigation is going to be ended and Mr. Rosenstein's going to resign the following month. Yeah, unless you're Judy Holliday and you were born yesterday, you can put together the dots. And the fact is, Trump, and you can see it when he's saying it's up to the Attorney General. He's a tremendous man. He's a tremendous person. You know, Nancy Pelosi's daughter said when she saw her expression toward Trump when she gave him the
I got to ask you
like
though, just because I want to zero in on this. I want to zero in on this, Congressman, because it's really important. So you were saying you just feel like it's too much more of a coincidence and that there's parts that need to be wrapped up. But Robert Mueller, as he has already done and can continue to do, and actually we saw boxes of documents going out to other prosecutors this week, an indication that perhaps things are being spun off into other probes, things that may be outside of his mandate but still need to be investigated. Might he just be handing off some of that unfinished business as you see it?
Well, I'm sure he's doing that. Robert Mueller's not going to leave anything undone. I suspect Judge Jackson, or the relevant judge, federal judge over the grand jury in which he's been operating, has or the grand jury has much of what Mueller would like to see the public know. I don't think he's going to allow Barr to put a quietus on his work of the last 2 years, which I'm sure he sees as relevant to democracy and the rule of law in our country, and to have that shut out from the Congress, which might need it to look into high crimes and misdemeanors and or other offenses and knowledge of what the president's activities are, that he will allow that to be the thumb put on it, in essence, by Trump, because Barr's acting at Trump's behest. Trump looked for somebody who wouldn't be like Jeff Sessions and he could do what he wanted to do, which is to shut down the Mueller investigation. And I'm sure he put the word out to the Federalist or somebody to find a guy that can do it, and they brought him the man. That's Bill Barr. We are in a serious situation with congressional constitutional crisis with what I expect to be a very limited disclosure of Mueller's important revelations and important information.
Well, to that point, I do just want to make clear, this is you speculating about the timing here. We're not hearing specific evidence coming from you, but you do have this concern that when the report is in Bill Barr's hands, you're not going to see the full picture coming to Congress, being put out in public. What can Congress do to try to compel the Justice Department to make that available?
We can subpoena the report. We can also subpoena Robert Mueller to testify before our committee, and we will take those actions. I'm sure they will be fought tooth and nail, because what's in there concerning Russia, and there'll be much more information, I believe, than we've seen already, although we've seen enough that should satisfy any level-headed, open-minded American that there's been involvement with Russia. All the things with the Moscow Trump Tower, the Manafort and his money that he owed Deripaska, the removal from the Republican platform of offensive weapons for Ukraine, the meeting at the Trump Tower, not about adoptions, but about the relief of sanctions, and the meetings with Kalimnikov, and sharing campaign data, polling data. There's enough there to really get anybody understanding that this is a serious issue, and Mueller probably has more to reveal.
All right. We will see, as you're talking about maybe subpoenaing Robert Mueller or asking him to come and testify before Congress. So we will be looking ahead to see what happens there. Congressman Steve Cohen, thank you.
You're welcome, Brianna.